If someone asked what you could accomplish if you were given 62 days out of the year to practice something you felt passionately about, there's no question that those 62 days would feel immensely valuable, yet extremely unrealistic. But as a matter of fact, those 62 days are handed to each and every one of us, every single year. We simply decide to spend them on our phones. Having grown up with social media and the internet for my whole life, it makes sense why people are so addicted to their phones, because of the way that social media and social networking sites are programmed. With this being said, the manipulative tactics used by social networking sites poses a serious threat to democratic processes and the mental health of our youth, making it imperative that we raise awareness and demand that governments enact stricter data protection laws to safeguard citizens' rights and well-being. Today, we'll examine the problems, the causes, and the solutions of how social media and social networking sites are designed to manipulate users in order to exploit user data and influence public opinion. For so many people, scrolling on social media is a routine habit. Just last month, as I'm sure many of you have, I saw so many spring break posts from around the globe, and I couldn't help but feel a little jealous about how happy all my friends and peers looked. But this is just one minute example of how social media affects our mental health. We tend to hyperfixate on other people's highlight reels, and it distracts us from what it's really like. The constant delayed flights, hungover mornings, and the blistering sunburns that come along with a college spring break are totally overlooked by these posts that make everything seem amazing. Considering we struggle with these mental health problems as adults, imagine the effect that this constant comparison has on adolescents in the prime stages of developing their self-worth. In a 2020 Netflix documentary, The Social Dilemma, girls aged 10 to 14 had a 189% increase in hospitalizations due to self-harm and a 151% increase in suicide rates since 2009. It's heartbreaking to hear these numbers and know that companies will continue to profit off these individuals if nothing is done to stop it. While young social media users are typically prone to these mental health problems, all social media users are affected by how social media poses a threat to our privacy and democracy. While there are many confirmed instances of social media being involved with political affiliations, one of the most prominent examples is the Russian IRA's involvement in the US 2016 presidential election cycle. The Russian Internet Research Agency established a campaign that sought to further divide the political system of the US and use social media as its main tool to drive its objective. According to a 2020 article by the Brennan Center for Justice, the IRA used social media data to target those who are likely interested in a particular party or platform, but dissatisfied with the current party. Social media by these big companies can be weaponized to undermine democratic processes and further polarization within our society. While there's no doubt that a mental health epidemic and threats to democracy are incredibly important problems with social media, there are clear identifiable problems or causes rooted in how these sites are designed. These problems are rooted in how these companies are able to trick the human mind and exploit how people think. We all know the feeling of posting something on a social media app and seeing all the likes and comments roll in. It's a satisfying feeling, and it gives you such satisfaction to see all of those positive reinforcements. And it's not just your ego, and actually backed by science. According to a 2020 article by Jefferson Health, Dr. Nancy DeAngelis states that social media platforms drive surges of dopamine to the brain that keep consumers coming back over and over again. The shares, likes, and comments on these platforms trigger the brain's reward center, resulting in a high similar to gambling or using drugs. As a result of the immediate gratification that social media provides the brain, it results in users constantly comparing themselves to others to see what they should look like or how they should behave to receive more positive reinforcement. Most of the time it's subconscious, but the constant comparison leads to many of the mental health problems discussed earlier, as so much of people's lives feel unattainable. And while triggering the dopamine reward center in the brain is one manipulative tactic used by social media sites, another is used to feed different users different information based on collected data. Part of how websites and search engines like Google collect data and manipulate users is through catering different search results to different users based on that collection of data. According to Edward Tenner in a 2018 article for Time magazine, if previous queries have suggested an attitude, pro or con, search results may be biased to give more of the same rather than the most scientifically rigorous data. These sites are able to identify lapses in our belief system and lead us down rabbit holes that reinforce the belief systems the computer believes we're susceptible to agree with. In the case of the IRA's involvement in the 2016 election, it created fake accounts for both parties and designed their posts to divide these groups and polarize them completely. They merely left the social media algorithm to do the rest. When hearing this alarming information, it makes you want to delete all your apps that you use on a daily basis and never fall victim to manipulative tactics ever again. But there are some realistic solutions that can provide achievable results in minimizing these problems. Firstly, educating people on how social media sites are designed is a practical and highly effective way to create a more technologically aware society. Coined by Langdon Winter in his well-known 1983 essay, Technologies as Forms of Life, the term technological somnambulism refers to the notion that many humans are in a sleepwalking-like state when using technology, instead of acknowledging the long-term ramifications. Through understanding how these sites are programmed, it allows you to think more critically and even change some of their habits. For me, I take my time during research to personally delete some apps from my home screen or even silence notifications, so I think more critically about what I'm seeing and have less of an urge to feel these mental health effects. Secondly, as a democratic nation, it's imperative that citizens contact government officials to demand data protection laws. In a 2022 article by the U.S. Government Accountability Office, it states that the U.S. does not have a comprehensive privacy law governing the collection, use, or sale of personal data in our country. With no laws to protect us as the citizens from falling victim to these manipulations by foreign involvement, that threat still persists. Today, we looked at the problems, the causes, and the solutions of how social media is designed to manipulate users and exploit user data to influence public opinion. With mental health rates on the rise and another presidential election cycle just next year, there has never been a better time to act. Governments have done nothing concerning the data protection laws among citizens, undermining the democracy that our nation was founded upon. It has become a now or never situation. Do we sit here and watch our society crumble, or do we inspire change and reclaim our 62 days?